Greetings, greetings, greetings. You are now tuned into the Vault. Trust Christian own, not to control everything. Just want to thank you for tuning in live, listening to replay. Feels good to greet you into the new year of 2023 with this episode, The Vault, episode 453, Benefits of Holding Companies. Definitely want to greet you all once again going into the new year's. This is an episode that's the first episode of the 2023 year. And really appreciate you all for tuning in live, listening to replay. Always appreciate everybody that tunes in live, listening to replay. We also appreciate everybody coming to the workshop. I'm just going to go ahead and put that on the screen as we move forward. And then we're going to continue talking to you all about this actual, uh, what we could even be talking about at this workshop coming up at this Family Asset Protection Trust Conference. And so we definitely are going to be having a very quality interview with a special guest speaker. Um, but we also are going to be doing training with the families once again, focused on, the private family trustee, you know, training strategies or the private family foundation strategies or the private family banking strategies. These are your main topics that are going to be discussed. Um, but we're going to talk about, in this particular episode, benefits of holding companies. This isn't legal advice or financial advice, so we always got to say that because we don't want anyone to say, oh, well, I did that and it didn't work. Well, it's like, well, how you do it and it didn't work. So, we're going to talk about this because this is something that floats around on the internet nowadays. Oh, holding company, holding company. We wanted to actually do another episode about what we're going to talk about in this particular episode. It's a subcategory of what holding companies hold. Why do we need to discuss holding companies? And these are a very strategic entity for a lot of reasons. And so we're going to talk about it today because it's interesting to see how, in the public sector, there's so much conventional wisdom. If you're listening to other people that have not done what you want to do, you're fighting up the creek with no paddle. And so we're going to talk about the benefits of holding companies because these are the things that, they want to talk about it. Oh, you got to have a holding company, or this has to be a trust, or this has to be a holding this, or asset protection this, or it has to be LLC this, or, we want to have the C Corp here. What entity is the proper holding entity? That's the question. Oh, what's the proper holding entity? Did we talk about that? Can we talk about that? This is a benefit. They wanna put out in the public. Oh, get a holding company. First of all, there is no legal form called a holding company. So what is the holding company? Is it a trust? Is it a LLC? Is it a C corp? Which one is it? Oh, is it the S corp? We're gonna get the pass through S corp, right? But who's the owner of the holding company? So how are you really practicing arm's length distance dealing? How are you practicing arm's length distance dealing if you're the creator of this, the manager of this, all of the above? The benefits of the holding company is to create arm's length distance dealing. But oops, the lawyer forgot to tell you that. Oops, the person that put you on the holding company forgot to tell you that when you go and try to talk to someone about them, about this structure, what are they going to say to you? What are they going to say? Are you going to be the creator? Are they going to be the registered agent? Is the entity going to go through a registered agent? These are the questions that lead us to the benefits of these holding companies there's these strategies that are going around on the internet floating around. Oh, you get a holding company and then it holds these companies and then you're never really the owner. Well, who owns the holding company? Do you? Do you have a majority share? Is it a public holding company or a private holding company? This is what we're talking about at the conference. Christian at trustchristian.com. The benefits of a holding company. Oh, well, they said on the internet I was supposed to have a holding company because that's going to help me have arm's length distance dealing when I do business. But who created the holding company? Very important question to ask yourself. Very important question to ask whoever's going to create it. On paper, what country is it going to be set up in? We were talking to a lawyer recently, and they were, are we still going to play this game? In what state is the holding company set up in, or in what country is the holding company set up in? Oh man, I don't know about the Cayman and the BVI. That's the scary place. When the most recent biggest fraud has happened in that zone again. First of all, the most yachts, these ships, they're registered in the BVI. They're maybe not at one island, they're registered at multiple islands. Oh, well, is the BVI off limits? Clearly the BVI is not off limits when we just seen the FTX debacle. They were set up in the BVI. They had operations in the BVI. They understand, they don't have these countries in place to say, oh, don't go there and do business. What do you mean? These are countries that are either saying that they're crypto friendly and they're business friendly. Oh man, what are you trying to say? You think it doesn't look auspicious if you're registered with a holding company in Dubai? Oh man, no, it doesn't look a little auspicious. Yes, it does. It looks a little auspicious nowadays. First of all, it's considered a tax haven. This isn't unknown to the knowing eye. It's considered a tax haven. So once again, oh wow, is it wrong for you to have a holding company that you're managing in Dubai? Well, I don't know if that's a smart move, but I don't know if I got the consultation to talk to the person that was going to give me that information. Right? Because if you go talk to Uncle Joe Larry lawyer, who knows nothing more than South Dakota or Wyoming, then yeah, they're gonna tell you that the BVI, that's where Sam Bankman-Fried just went down. Why would you go there? Well, once again, the yachts are still registered there. He's just one of the goofballs that went down there. It's not a new era. It's just a place that, it's like the States. Do things go up and down in the States? Yes. They have pump and dumps in the States? Yes. Then they have pump and dumps created in other countries. Yep. That's all it is. So once again, holding companies. Oh man. Is that what's going on with these holding companies? Is they creating pump and dumps like the Bankman Free recent most debacle? But that's often. They're not all set up in the BVI. They're not set up in South Korea or on the Singapore exchange. Or they're set up in some foreign. They're not even they're not on any major euro exchange. The benefits of a holding company. See, we could talk about it for many levels about how the Chinese have created these holding companies and they've gotten kicked off the stock market in the States at times. That's a fact. They were using holding companies. They were actually buying American holding companies that were shelf companies, but they're holding companies and they're shelf companies. And they were sitting on the shelf, but they're holding companies. May have had assets, maybe have sold off the assets, and someone sit on the name. So let's go into this whole holding company situation where now you got foreign countries not just the country, it's, companies are buying names of companies on foreign exchanges. Of course, this is already being regulated. It's regulated. Let's talk about it though. Leases, licenses, leases, and copyrights are holding companies. We're going to repeat it again. Licenses, leases, and copyrights, trademarks, patents are held in holding companies. Some people say we got trustees that have come through the training program. They like, oh, we got a license and we're looking to lease our plays, our art. We're very familiar with that. The benefits of a holding company. Who's the owner? Just like who owns the holding company. See, these are the questions that we can talk about with our trustees, and what we talk about at our conferences, because these are the things that are very important to talk about when you're talking about family succession planning, the benefits of holding companies, and things of that nature. Oh, everybody wants to say, oh, well, do we need a holding company, or what type of holding company do we need? So those are the questions to ask. But when we get down to the benefits of these holding companies, it looks like they're holding licenses, leases, copyrights, trademarks, and patents. We're going to go over today what we saw recently. That really is not a conundrum, but it's interesting because a lot of people may not know it. And what's interesting is what we're talking about right now is what we ran across when we saw this article. And it's just interesting because when you talk about what we're talking about, everybody on the internet or people on the internet want to talk about these licenses and leases and things of that nature, copyrights. But what we see is that these holding companies are making tons of money. Why are they making tons of money? Because they're holding people's copyrights. They're holding people's licenses. Nowadays, we're in the era where these so-called athletes or these actors are selling their what is it, NLI, NIL, name, image, and likeness. They're selling their name, image, and likeness. Oh, really? People are selling their name, image, and likeness? Okay. Well, what does that lead you to know or believe or understand or what you're going to grow into? Well, we're going to share with you the holding companies. Just give us a minute. We're still pulling it up. Uh, share with you the holding companies that's holding some of the major people that you all may be familiar with, that they uh, actually own actors and movie stars and people's, records, people's images. So let's just say you're an artist, right? And you made music. There's nothing to stop a company that once they own the name of the artist, that they can create a character after you, put the brand on t-shirts, take the songs or the songs that they own, they can now lease it. They lease those sounds out. Though they lease out the property, they license out the property, and we're talking about through holding companies now. We're not just talking about, oh well, does the one company does excuse us, do we have multiple entities? No, there's one major company that can hold multiple licenses. We're going to share with you all one company here that has over 85 million albums. 85 million albums. They have wow, this is just interesting, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to do our best to share with you all as much as we can. So there's a company. It's called Hypnosis Songs Fund. You hear what it's called? First of all, it's called a fund, but it's a holding company. The company has quickly grown and scooped over 65,000 tracks and about 150 catalogs worth over $2 billion. Do you hear how that sounds? When you have a holding company that has license, leases, copyrights, patents, and trademarks. I mean, they when you own that much music, you're gonna get they're getting royalties off of the artist. The artist has already sold their catalogs. Artists are selling catalogs, which is great. There's nothing wrong with an artist selling catalog. That just show you they're really good at what they do. Once again, there are companies under one umbrella. The name of this company, Primary Wave, has this is the names that they own. They can create images, they can create a likeness. See how they got it? They got the they own the rights to this person's image, likeness. You almost could make a smear campaign, but they're not. They're gonna milk it. So let's hear who they own. Prince, Whitney Houston, Bob Marley, Ray Charles, James Brown. That's who they have rights to. The holding company, when you talk about, oh, well, I'm going to go get in a holding company, it's going to own all these companies. That's what they tell you to own the companies, right? No, these people own somebody's image and likeness and copyright and license to their music. And when those music songs get played or when someone wants to do a rendition, they have to go get checked. And if not, these people sue you. They purchase someone's portfolio for $100 million. They're licensing out the songs for commercials to car companies. They're taking artists' image and putting it on lottery tickets. They're taking artists, their image, something that's similar to what they might have gotten into when they were alive, and they're putting it on hot sauce. Do you hear what the new era of ownership is? We could do an episode. It's called You Don't Own Your Name. Of course you don't own your name. Why? Well, guess what? Ray Charles doesn't own his name. Ray Charles' family doesn't own his name. Well, Prince's family doesn't own his name. Ray Charles' family doesn't own his name. James Brown's family doesn't own his name. Whitney Houston, their family doesn't own that name. That name is owned by Primary Wave. They have rights to the name. They have rights to the image. They have rights to the likeness. They are the royalty collectors. They sold off their portfolios, part of their portfolios. Oh no, they're getting artists that are alive that are selling off their catalog. Of course. It shouldn't be abnormal, but it has been in the recent years because people haven't built portfolios where they sell off their catalog for 50 to $100 million. But yes, we are in the era where, yes, there are music rights companies, there are name, image, and likeness companies that are buying rights to name, image, and likenesses of individuals. Do you hear that? You don't own your name, individual. So when you come to the voting, you say, oh man, I'm a secure party creditor. I want to own my name. I don't want the government to own me. I don't want the government to have my government name. You hear this type of conversation? The government name? The government name. That's the benefits of a holding company, so it can own the government name, the name, image, and likeness, something we talked about for years, where your family has a fighting chance to be able to sue, where you could put your fingerprint. You think a fingerprint is not a part of your name, image, and likeness? It's like when you go to Wikipedia and you see successful people's signature. You can't lift their autograph. They don't call it a signature anymore. They call it a what? An autograph. Did you copyright? Did the family, did the holding company copyright the property of the family? But they want to say, oh, there's no family privacy. We need family law in the public. They got family law in the public, but family law in the private, it looks like you actually having a holding company, yes, own names and images and rights to the family members. Why? Because they're being copyright infringed on and stole quite frequently. There are lawsuits against major companies all the time about this. Name, image, and likeness lawsuit. What do you think they're going to do if you try to infringe upon their property? They're going to sue you. These holding companies or these major names, they're going to sue you. So what makes you think you're not in the same position? What? Oh, I don't have the lawyers on deck? Do you not have the lawyers on deck? These companies, yes, they obviously have a huge portfolio. They're going to send the lawyers at you. But nevertheless, did you have that in place for you and your family? Oh man, we've had people come to us for years. Oh, secure party creditor. It's like there's a section of that group of people, they just want to be able to write off debt, which is weird. They just want to write off debt. And that's not the way it has to even work. Like, you want to earn, you want to work to build things. Holding companies now are holding people's name, image, and likeness. You think they're concerned about your brand or they're concerned about your name? Your name, image, and likeness. They want your picture. Who's they? These holding companies. They got Ray Charles. If you're going to be successful, they want yours. Getty Images. You know who Getty Images is? You know who Getty Images. You all know, you're familiar with Getty Images. They get all the so-called famous shots of people on walkways and these places. And then this, how does this photographer get to steal your name, image, and likeness and post it with a story that could have defamatory remarks that have yet to be rebutted or even having to be sanctioned to be taken down on the internet? That's the age we're in. Do you need to protect your greatest asset? Do you need to insure your greatest asset? You think these people don't have insurance on their name, image, and likeness? The assets that they have, these collateral pieces of songs and images. Interesting, right? Right. The families don't even own these people's catalogs. The catalogs are sold to companies, holding companies that are holding these assets privately. These are not traditionally public companies. This is not Spotify. Spotify doesn't own the music. It just licenses it out. It leases it out. Do you hear that? It leases and licenses the music out. Now, we're not speaking on it as if we know completely, but you can tell that they don't own the music. They just what? They're just playing spins, and they're actually paying to license the music, to lease the music. That's the business model. They're not even the holding company that's holding the music. Right. They're just licensed to play it. Leased. They're leasing it, huh? How does this play into the holding company? We can stay on it because the holding company is what owns these assets.
It owns multiple assets. Y'all see one entity owns 65,000 plus songs. They might have to go to court for quite a bit if there's infringements, right? Right. They also own quality assets that pay. So you got to get a steal. You got to get a steal of a deal. You got to get in on an asset either early, or you see these people have the bankroll where they're buying name, image, and likenesses, and they're buying catalogs for $100 million. That's what they're buying catalogs for. That's what they're buying catalogs for. And think about this, ladies and gentlemen. The reason why we stay on this point is because most people would like to say, oh, I'm the businessman. Isn't that the favorite line? I'm not the business, I'm the businessman. Well, okay, is it you or the name? You could change your name whenever you want. But is the name that you're building, is that the name, image, and likeness that can be used as a Ray Charles in the future and the catalog can be sold for millions of dollars? Is it a catalog that can be sold for millions of dollars? Is that name being copyright infringed on worth suing someone over? These small things. These small things. Oh, I'm looking to build a catalog in my life. I'm an artist. I'm successful. I'm going to be indie. I'm looking for a deal, possibly. A deal is what? Selling your catalog. That's a deal. A deal is not buying into where you have a complete tie on your catalog. It's where you sell the catalog. And then you go out and do a bigger deal. Well, we can see who you sell your assets to. Who do you sell these assets to? Holding companies. Who are they? We just named them. Prime Wave. What was the other one? Hypnosis. Songs Fund. You hear how it's called a fund? These guys are getting private money. And these are people that, oh, I love that. I love that artist back in the day. Uh, the catalog's going to cost $50 million. Okay. Well, we're going to go solicit a deal privately. We're going to raise that $50 million and we're going to go buy that catalog. So, some people want to share in a person's catalog and they're going to own part of somebody's music catalog. They may not even own all of the catalog. They're just going to own parts of the catalog in a fund, as you can see through that particular fund, and through a private quote unquote equity ownership, some type of, promissory note that they're just sitting in a fund and they're waiting for that money. Maybe they're getting equity disbursements or dividend disbursements, but for the most part, they wanted to have a collection of any of their artists that they like that is up for sale, that they could have a hand in knowing that 200 years from now, when that music's being played in space, they'll still be getting royalties. Or 100, yeah, for sure. When that song's getting played in space, they're getting royalties. They're not just thinking about right now. They're thinking about 100 years, knowing that that artist can be bigger than what it's going to be now and go through waves, and that can produce income for their family. It's sort of like being able to hold on to the Rembrandts or the Picassos or these Michelangelos or these type of like old time artists. Our art is the same exact thing. It's just, when they say now, is it really worth it? Are they spending stupid money on these catalogs? Clearly, they're not. You guys don't, maybe Americans don't know how big music is, but the music thing, as you all can see, this is a dump for collectors. This is a collector's play. This is a play where wealthy people are buying their favorite artist catalog once again, and they're getting in for a $5 million play or a $20 million play. I mean, super wealthy people, high net worth investors, anywhere from a 50 million to 100 million. Of course, if they can get in on a deal that they know, hey, I can have a part of them. That's like saying Elvis. There's somebody like that. If you can get in on owning a part of their catalog, you're gonna get a royalty. Holding companies. We'll share with you a holding company. We're gonna see if we can pull this one up for you all, cause you know in the world we live in today, we hear a lot of mismanagement, and that's just mismanagement of information. So we're going to share with you all how two individuals that we're going to name actually were supposed to be in on buying a franchise, buying an NFL franchise, and it actually is a great acquisition to be a part of what the holding company. Okay, well, this maybe not be a traditional football team, but we're going to say that this is a report. You all can go look into it. So there's a holding company that's looking to buy a what they call football team in other countries, but in the United States it will be considered soccer. There's a bid for Chelsea and two individuals that are part of the holding company because they're not the like forefront, they're not the main money, they're not the big money, but they're involved in the deal. Holding company. So you think if you're a part of the holding company that owns the team, you're going to get free tickets to Chelsea games? Probably. You're in the holding company. It's not too many people that are going to be in the holding company that owns the team. Serena Williams and Lewis Hamilton, who are two very successful sports athletes, very, very successful, uh, actually are looking to get in on this bid. And they have been. And so what we're talking about here is once again the holding companies. That's what it's about. This isn't about, oh, did they have all the money? Do you have to have all the money? You don't always have to have all the money. When we see people do, you think if somebody gives you money, they're not going to put it even in a holding company? Yes, there's going to be a holding company. Just like when they do transactions with escrow and other things, they're going to do holding companies. You're going to be in a GP deal. You're going to be in a JV deal. And big bank is not going to just let little bank run off with it. Holding companies. These are excellent vehicles for what you call LPs, partnerships. They are used quite frequently in partnerships. When you see GPs getting done, when you see JVs getting done, yes, at a very high net worth investor level, or even in decent middle tier plus anything over $500,000, these people are not moving around in halfway entities. They're moving in solid entities. They're moving in a very specific fashion, and holding companies are very useful in these environments. So we definitely appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listening to replay. I always appreciate everybody that tunes in live, listening to replay. We got the Family Asset Protection Trust Conference coming up. Definitely want to say, hey, it's interesting because so many people say, oh, we don't hear or should we hear? It's like, well, ladies and gentlemen, we've been doing this for long enough now where, yes, our workshops are pretty much wall to wall. They're pretty much focused on giving value. We have families in the room already because their families are enrolled in the training. So yes, new people, if you're not enrolled, right now, that's perfectly fine. You can reach out Christian at trustchristian.com. Outside of that, you can come to the workshop. You can register with Christian at trustchristian.com. Once again, what we'll do is we're definitely doing consultations with the actual workshop. So we definitely are going to do that. That's very important. And just going in, just going to start out the new year right. But we definitely want to let you all know we're doing our best to have a really good special guest speaker there. Third generation well for sure, and we're going to continue to talk about that, and bringing that individual forth so we can really share with you all. Families say, "Oh, I'm in the private family foundation." Well, we're going to bring in people in the room that are operating in the private family foundation, and there are multiple generations in the private family foundation, and they're moving in the right capacity. Whether you want to call it a holding company of assets, a holding company of capital, and they're out allocating capital
That's what we're focused on, is getting around families and focus sharing around families that want to go over those best practices for how do you have 3 generations. 3 generations is already past the yield curve of most average families. So once you have above average results, we're going to have those above average interviews, share that content with our trustees and individuals that come to the workshops and conferences. So look forward to seeing you. It's Christian at trustchristian.com. Once again, reach out, Christian at trustchristian.com. You'll get the full location once you make the payment, but we definitely know it's definitely very close near the airport. Everybody always wants to know, what airport is actually close to either or airport. So it's really good in that area, and we look forward to hearing from you. So Christian at trustchristian.com. Peace and joy.